Good morning, students. Today we shall take the history, our past 3, part 2. The chapter we shall begin with is weavers, iron smelters, and factory owners. In this chapter, we will get to learn about the crafts and industries of India during the British rule. And we shall focus on the textile and iron and steel industries, which were crucial for the Industrial Revolution in the modern world. The mechanized production of cotton textiles made Britain the most advanced nation in 19th century. And with the advancement of iron and steel industry from 1850s, Britain came to be known as the workshop of the world. The industrialization of Britain had a close connection with the conquest and colonization of India. As you have learned in chapter 2, how the British East India Company's interest in trade led to occupation of territory, and how the pattern of trade changed over the decades. In the late 18th century, the company was buying goods in India and exporting them to England and Europe, making huge profits through this sale. And with the growth of industrial production, British industrialists began to see India as a vast market for their industrial products. And over time, manufactured goods from Britain began flooding in India. So, how did this affect Indian crafts and industries? This is the question we will explore in this chapter. Now let's go to the first topic, Indian textiles and the world market. And let's first look at the textile production. Around 1750, before the British conquered Bengal, India was the world's largest producer of cotton textiles. Indian textiles was very famous for their fine quality and exquisite craftsmanship. They were extensively traded in Southeast Asia, namely Java, Sumatra, and Penang, and West and Central Asia. Then from the 16th century, European trading companies began buying Indian textiles for sale in Europe. Here, it is worth mentioning that Indian textiles were famous in Western markets under different names such as muslin, calico, etc. Printed cotton clothes were called chinch, kosis, or khasa, and bandana. Then from 1680s, there started a craze for printed Indian cotton textiles in England and Europe, mainly for their beautiful floral designs, fine texture, and to relative cheapness. The popularity of Indian textiles during the early 18th century worried the wool and silk makers in England. They began protesting against the import of Indian cotton textiles. In fact, textile industries had just begun in England at this time. Unable to compete with Indian textiles, English producers wanted a secure market within the country by preventing the entry of Indian textiles. The first to grow under government protection was the Calico printing industry. Indian designs were now imitated and printed in England on white muslin or plain unbleached Indian cloth. So, competition with Indian textiles led to a search for technological innovation in England. The invention of spinning jenny in 1764 and steam engine in 1786 revolutionized cotton textile weaving. Cotton textile weaving. So, cloth could now be woven in large quantities and that too in a very cheap rate. Thank you, students. That's all for today.